Well, I guess if I play all these songs twice as fast, we can do twice as many. So here we go, one more. In 2 weeks, Laura and I will be playing a big national convention with Karen Drucker, so we'll do one of Karen's songs. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God.
All right, well, it is 10:30 and good morning, Unity Church in Reading. Will you please stand for our opening song? We are all friends here, and we are.
We are all friends here. There are no strangers once you walk inside that door.
Or join us online.
We welcome you to linger in this family of love and hold you in our hearts the way you are. We are all friends here. There are no strangers once you walk inside that door. We welcome you to linger in this family of love and hold you in our hearts the way you are. We are all friends here. There are no strangers once you walk inside that door. We welcome you to linger in this family of love and hold you in our hearts the way you are. And hold you in our hearts the way you are. And hold you in our hearts the way you are.
And before you sit down, let us do our congregational blessing. Lift up those hands. We love you. We bless you. We appreciate you. And we behold the Christ in you. And you, and you, and you. Okay, you can have a seat if you'd like. We certainly would like to welcome everyone today. Yeah, thank you. It was a little warm. We want to thank everybody, especially Anton and Laura for providing our music, Jerry and Janice for being our ushers, Shelba for doing our sound, and Diana for being our platform today. And naturally, you all know a special treat with Reverend Joe here to be our speaker. And something we've started for everybody that's at home watching, everybody knows that we've gone from about 3 or 4 watching on Facebook live streaming to about 15 watching us on any given Sunday. So one of the things they've asked for is that they get to see whoever that musician is that they don't normally get to see because they're out of screen. So Anton, can I have you come forward and say hi to all those people at home? Thank you, Anton. Well, now's the time that we open our service with prayer. So let's close our eyes and relax. Oh, Divine Spirit, we give thanks for this opportunity to come together in prayer. We open our hearts and minds to this service, knowing that there is something here for everyone. As we open our hearts, we know that that love of the indwelling Spirit flows forth, creating the light not only for this congregation and in this sanctuary, but throughout the city, throughout the world. For we are blessed as we allow ourselves to be the manifestation of the Christ on earth. And so it is. And now I'd like to have Diana come forward for our lighting of the candle.
And today we'd like to have Joseph. Would you like to light our Christ candle, please? And as Joseph's doing that, we will say, we light this candle to remind us that the light of Christ lives within each one of us. I am the light of Christ. And the next thing will be the Lord's Prayer. That is in Aramaic. Did I say that right?
I think we're going to sing it this time. You get
Wonderful.
It once a
Oh,
month.
that's wonderful. No, please sing it.
We're going to sing it not in Aramaic.
We'll not sing it
because
in
we're
Aramaic.
not Aramaic speakers. But
That's a language I haven't yet learned. And you're welcome to join in if you like. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
excuse me, can we turn Laura up a little bit? I can't really. Yeah. Here we go again.
All right. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And leave us not in temptation, but deliver us from error. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Thank you all for joining in.
I believe we have a song next. And it's In the Light.
In the light, in the love, in the glory. So this is our joy song for today. So let's stand up and have some joy.
And maybe a whistle.
Well, that's the beautiful thing about this unity is that we combine, like we go back and forth between prayer and celebration. So it's really lovely, and that's why we keep standing up, sitting down.
That was terrific. It was fun. Okay, so now the daily word. And it's loving is the word, the daily word for today. And it brings to mind to me that we are the love of God. We are the conduit of God's love. We're the hands and the feet, actions of God's love. And so what it says in the daily word this morning is just, I am a loving, caring presence. That's the affirmation. Let's say that together. I am a loving, caring presence. Just as the sun shines on everyone and everything, I'm a loving presence to everyone I meet. My kind words, welcoming smile, and compassionate actions all spring from the love that is part of my divine identity. Being a loving presence draws me closer to God and to all people. I want to share the love I have known throughout the seasons of my life, at heights of triumphs and joy, and in the depths of loss and suffering. God is love, and so am I. No matter who I meet or what they're going through, I am loving. I bring support, kindness, solace, comfort, and share them lavishly without the thought of reciprocity. I am the hands and heart of God in the world. From Romans 13:8, owe no one anything except to love one another, for the one who loves one another has fulfilled the law. think we have meditation.
Yes.
Oh, was that me? Oh.
I'll sing a little to get us going, and then hopefully someone will come.
Well, you won't sing if my piano is muted.
We feel that love flowing through this room. The love made by music. The love made by open hearts. So as we begin our meditation, if you're comfortable, close your eyes and rest on the chair. Letting go of all the cares that you brought into this sanctuary. All the trials and tribulations of the day. Looking forward to the warm weather this afternoon. Letting go. Letting God work within us. Feel that energy flow forth like a radiating center of light. Feel that energy flow to every cell of the body, healing, bringing forth joy, bringing forth love. That energy flowing forth to all those in this sanctuary, feeling the light illumine this room. God's love, God's joy, the harmony and peace that is ours. Ours for the acceptance. It is our gift. Our gift to accept and to give others. For we are that love. So as we go into the silence, let's open our heart to the divine spirit within. as we gently return to this time and this place, we bring that loving energy with us. We let it flow through us. We let it become us. And each step we take during this day, we do so in the light. Each word we choose to exchange with others comes from our heart. We give thanks for the joy that we have been given in this life experience. As we walk this path together, one in heart, one in thought, we do so in the love of Spirit. And we know we have thought of others in our lives, our family and friends, that we would like to share this love with, this healing energy. So let us say their name aloud in this sanctuary of love, bathing them in that energy of light. Together, Marissa, Carl, Gail, Luke, Haley, Giselle, Kayla. And we know that all prayers start with ourselves. So let's anchor this love within us by saying our name aloud. Together, Kenneth. All of these thoughts, all of these prayers, all of this love is folded together with all the prayers in our prayer box, with all the prayers at Silent Unity, with all the energy that will well up within us throughout the day. And we know thy will be done. And so it is. Amen. And now we get to sing another song, and it is very appropriate. I release.
There was a time in my life I thought I had to do it all myself. I didn't know the grace of God was sufficient, and I didn't know the love of God was at hand. But now I can say, if you are discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, you've got to let it go, let it all go. And this is what you have to say: I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I am free in the Spirit. Yes,
Our message for the day, Reverend Joe, can I ask you to come forward and we'll get this mic all set up for you.
Give you this one back. Laura has consented to let me use her microphone. I'm Irish, as you probably know, but I sometimes speak like an Italian, so a handheld is no good when it's way out here, you know. The other thing, I may have mentioned this before when I was here, but a lot of pens and pencils. You must do school here. I use notes. I don't apologize for that because I find that if I use notes, my talks usually run 15, 20 minutes, something like that. But if I don't use notes, it usually goes about an hour and a half. And I've always thought you probably prefer the former. I used to, a lot of people like to go to lunch immediately after. I had a church in Kansas City and gradually took over from Dr. Hilbert, who had been there for 40 years, very old-fashioned. He used to say goodbye to people on the front steps. If you've ever been to Kansas City in the wintertime, 10 degrees out and the wind blowing, and he's on the front steps. But he wanted to get people to get out of the way so they could go to lunch. He didn't want them hanging around, which is the opposite from what we want here. We want you to hang around, as we sang in your opening song. And I'm great to be with Anton and his now partner, Laura. And probably started working with Anton about 20 years ago in Kansas City. I think I made him what he is. I brought him into the public. No, he was working quite well then, and always great to be with you. I know the music is going to be great. I'm really here today to celebrate with you all. I didn't know when I agreed to do this, the time of celebration had yet arrived, but now you have something to celebrate. You have a new minister coming. Let's hear a hand for that. You have been very patient and wise and stayed the course, and you have been fortunate to have Ken with you throughout, and of course, Carolyn, who's speaking today in Sacramento. But Ken has been the pillar of the church, and he's not going anywhere. He's going to be part of it. And when the board called upon him to act temporarily until, because at that time we didn't know that we have a new minister coming, Ken agreed, and God bless Ken. And he is willing to work with your new minister, Mary Grace. Interesting name. Sounds like a nun, doesn't it? Most of the nuns I ever met were Mary something, but she's not a nun, is she? No, nothing wrong with nuns. But we're fortunate to have, you are fortunate to have Ken staying with her, and she will be very blessed to have Ken working with her. Love and caring, that's what has brought you to this good place. And trusting in the God of the universe, the God we speak to, and the God that is, in fact, us. To put it in an Irish way, 'tis proud I am to know you, and I really mean that. Proud of what you've been through. Your transition team, your board, your ministers, all of you, you've done well, and your faith and trust will bear fruit in the future. I'm sure of that. Unity of Reading is a loving poem for you and for all the people that will follow, and I just see people coming more and more in. Love this ministry, and it will love you back. I promise you, we've done that successfully in a number of places where we've been, Lynn and I. As you move into this new phase of ministry, I thought it might be wise if we did a tune-up in this interesting period. A spiritual tune-up is what we're talking about. Being a minister and being in the spiritual business, so to speak, that's the business I'm in, and working with other ministries as a consultant throughout our West Central region, you would think that would be pretty well tuned up. But sadly, it's not always so. I need a tune-up from time to time. And maybe you do, too. What do you think? A little nodding of head? Yes. Some are holding back? No. It's all right. Some might be saying, well, tune-up, let's see. Tune-ups cost a lot of money. But this won't cost you a thing because you already have the tools you need. You were built with them. You come here to nurture them, and you provide the labor. So it's a great deal. What do you think? Are we ready to do a spiritual tune-up? Yeah, I bet we are. Those people who are watching electronically, are you ready? Raise your hands if you are. Yeah, I think I saw them do that. Why do we need a tune-up? Well, we live in a world of vibrations. Everything is in vibration, all that this podium that appears to be solid is in fact not really solid, we just can't see, but it's in motion all the time. Everything is in motion. We always resist change, which is kind of silly because we can't resist change. Without our movement, without our energy, it continues to move, everything. Everything has its own frequency, as Anton will tell you, and Laurie will tell you. They're working with frequencies all the time and vibrations. That's what music is. We humans have a vibration, and so we can be tuned. And again, that's why we come to a place like this, why we read good things, sing good songs, only watch good movies, TV. For we want to tune ourselves to the proper vibration. And so it is with a ministry. Ministries can be tuned as well, and so we're going to do a little tuning today. Our consciousness has a frequency. That's why we say that we have a good day or a bad day. It's the same day, but it's the frequency that's operating within us that causes us to call it good or bad. And this is important to note, we establish the frequency of our lives by assumptions that we have gathered along the way as we have said were the truth. They're not, they're just assumptions. But they direct our lives, continue to direct our lives. We developed them when we were children and all along the way with all our teachers and all our ministers, all good, I hope, but there are assumptions. We all like to be happier, more connected, more successful, more loving, and certainly more loved. How do we begin? There's always a key. There's always a key word, a key thought, key word. That's what happened over there in Ireland. This fella Murphy, having nothing better to do, joins the army. And he has no particular goals, and so he ends up as a paratrooper. Goes through all the rigorous training, jumps off the tower, and does all that stuff. And finally, there they are. They're up in the airplane for the big test, and they're all lined up, and the sergeant's up there by the door, and they're going out one by one. Murphy's the last, and he gets up to the door, and he says, "I can't do it, Sarge." He says, "Sure you can. There's nothing to it." He says, "You just step out, yell Geronimo, pull the rep cord, and that's it." Well, the next day, the sergeant visited Murphy in the hospital. Bandages all over his whole body. And he says, "Murphy, what happened?" He says, "Sergeant, what was the name of that Indian again?" Have to remember the key word, or it'll let you down. There is a key to open all the truth to anything that you need to do. But we sometimes have to get some junk out of the way. And that's what I was referring to in these fear-based false assumptions. When we let that go, the truth just has to come rushing into that vacuum. We need to review our assumptions. And when we find things that are not working in our lives, simply let them go. Change our minds. That's our key. That's our Geronimo. Changing your mind. That you can do on your own anytime. Anytime. If you're concerned with the way your life may be going, the way the world seems to be going, simply change your mind. Will that have an effect on your life? Yes, it will. Will it have an effect on the world? Yes, believe it or not, it will. Each of us are part of the world. And when we change our own mind, it helps to permeate throughout our own world and the larger world inevitably. That's the way the universe works. It's not easy, you say, though, with living in a world of so much fear. Fear has a distinctive frequency. We've all felt it. You know, when you're fearful, you vibrate. It inhibits our natural ability to live our lives fully. It deadens our intelligence and heightens our negative emotions. Sounds like alcohol, doesn't it? Which some of us have unwisely used at one time of our life in order to hide from fear. Didn't work. There has always been an abundance of fear frequenting around us, and as I go through our West Central region, that's what you're part of here, we have about 40 churches in the West Central region, mostly Northern California. I find that a lot of ministries have the great fear of lack. You know, are we going to have enough to continue to operate, to pay a new minister, and always a fear of lack. It's one of the things, as if we have forgotten the irrefutable law of giving and receiving. It's a universal law that says, as we give, so we receive. As we give, we receive, not when we give, we eventually will receive. No, it's as we give, we receive. Irrefutable law. You cannot prove it to be wrong. You must give with an open heart, however, in order to make it work. In fact, the board president of one of the ministries that I was working with said, you know, we're not tithing now, but we'll start tithing later, as soon as things get better. And I had to tell him, I said, you know, that's backwards. I said, I'm only here for a short time, I have to say the truth. It's backwards. That's not the way things work. It's in the giving that gets things going. You need to give first, and then you receive as you give. Fear can inhibit, can damage, can even destroy things. In its subtler form, it twists and turns our minds, causes us to distress, causes anger. And as I say these things, you can use those words, you can feel the vibration, can't you? None of us probably are old enough to have survived the Great Depression back in the 20s, but I've studied this a lot, and I think, you know, our parents did. And so I think we have, many have inherited the fear of our parents. We have a barn on our property, a large barn. Lynn's dad, who's no longer with us, but I think anything you'd ever want is in that barn somewhere, and the box that it came with. And he lived through the Depression, and so, but I think that's been passed on to us, and it's not the truth, and it just draws us back. But let's see what Charles Fillmore says about fear. This is a wonderful book, by the way, The Revealing Word. If you're real serious in studying unity and spirituality, it's a definition for everything that you would ever need to know. I did happen to notice there are a couple of copies in your Linden library, so you might want to look at it. This is what Charles Fillmore says. Fear is one of the most subtle and destructive errors that the carnal mind can experience. Fear is a paralyzer of mental action. It weakens both the mind and the body. Fear throws dust in our eyes and hides the mighty spiritual forces that are always with us. Dust in our eyes, I like that. The next time someone tries to throw dust in your eyes with some kind of fear, simply bless them and let it go, let it go. And trust in that one great source of all good, the vibration of love that is in your very heart that you carry with you all the times. You have a guide that is always with it, better than the GPS and more accurate. Been using money as a symbol of the vibration of fear that can affect us, but the vibration of fear affects everything, all aspects of our lives. And fueled by those false assumptions and the opinions of others, I don't want anybody to raise your hand, but does anybody belong to a political party? It doesn't matter which one it is. The opinions of other people, a group of lawyers have gathered together on one side or another, or all the different sides, and they have opinions, and we come to accept them. I'll leave it at that. We will listen to many opinions in the days ahead, I guarantee you. Fear of change, fear of lack, fear of fear, that's my favorite one, fear of fear. A fellow by the name of Ruiz, you may be familiar with the book, The 5 Agreements we make with ourselves. And later he wrote another book with his son called The 5th Agreement. And what it says is, be skeptical, but learn to listen. And in it he says this: the truth doesn't need you to believe in it. The truth simply is, and it survives whether you believe in it or not. Lies, on the other hand, cannot long survive the power of truth, the power of the truth. We all have the ability to discern the truth. We seek truth within our hearts, and we feel its warm vibration. We know what that feels like. So be kind and listen to other people's opinions, but always listen most particularly to what is in your own heart. That's your best guide. Be prepared to release any assumptions that are holding you back, things that may have been valid at one time, but they're not valid now. But they're holding you back, guiding you in the wrong way. Simply recognize them, bless them, and let them go. Here are some of those old assumptions. I had a board member, one of my board members, when I had the church in Grass Valley, stand up almost, if you know how they used to have the hook, where you pull people off stage. And she's a sweet lady, so I didn't do it. But stood up and said that I know that everyone is supporting the ministry as best they can. It wasn't the truth. But it was a nice thing to say. But we tend to think that if we share with our ministry, and there was a nice sign up here suggesting ways that you could volunteer, share with our ministry of our time, our talents, our treasures, our money, that we'll be short of that amount of money. So if you put, and I suggest you do this today, put a $100 bill in the offering. Put 100, nobody fainted? If you give thinking that you're going to be short by that amount, then you're reading it the wrong way. We receive as we give. It's not about money either. The other thing that we often hear that, I don't really need to support the ministry. We built a beautiful, rebuilt a church in Grass Valley, and it's lovely. And I always wonder, people come in, new people, and they say, wow, this is great. I don't need to support this. Somebody else has already done this. They've already paid the way. But life goes on. Someone else, that's always a complaint about anything, someone else will do it. Which reminded me of the story also took place over there in Ireland. Philip Murphy had been given a different assignment. He'd never given this particular route, but he was filling in for somebody else. And he's going along, and he comes to this one house, and it's got a white picket fence around it with a gate. And there's a woman standing on the lawn inside, and there's a big dog standing next to her. So, not knowing, before he went in, he says to the lady, he says, "Does your dog bite?" And she said, "No, no." So he goes through the gate. The dog attacks him, rips off one of his pant legs. He barely makes it out, turns to her and says, "I thought you said your dog didn't bite." She says, "That's not my dog." And sometimes we think that way, but Unity of Reading is everybody's dog. You know, even if you're here for the first time or you're fairly new here, this is yours. You own this, you know. You truly do. That's one of the beautiful things about the 4T program, if anybody's ever taken it. One of the things they say, yes, you walk down the street and you look on either side of you, I own that building, I own that bank, I own that restaurant. You get to use them as if you own them, and you don't have to pay the rent. Here we have to pay rent, but it's open to you. But this is important to you, this ministry. And we're all here for the same joyous mission, here to support each other and others who will surely come, all seeking the highest good, doing the best we can together. The only thing we have to fear is what? Fear itself. Remember that famous line by Roosevelt. And he was right. How do we cast out fear? By perfect love. And we're all capable of doing that at any time. Perfect love for one another, perfect love for all our brothers and sisters, not just some of them, all of them. You know, it's not easy, but it's the truth. A perfect love that will draw people to this ministry. That's what we did in Grass Valley. We started from scratch. We had invited some family and friends, and they invited family and friends, and it grew and grew and continues to grow. This ministry is important to you and to your community and to the world. Yes, to the world. You may not think so, but it does. Each of us plays an important part, and when we join together in a group like this, we are helping not just ourselves, not just the community, but the whole world. It's the truth. Wouldn't you love to see a time when we dropped all our separating political parties, just let them go, they're not there anymore. All religions drop their various affiliations and come together as one, under God for liberty and justice for all, using the gospel of inclusive love. Wouldn't that be wonderful? That we drop all the many varied and wonderful races and unite as Irish. That's all we need is one race. It'll get you through. I threw that in because I was getting a little heavy there. We have been given the blessing of free will. We are free to love or free to suffer the pain of withholding love. And you know what that feels, that vibration. If there's somebody you love, but for some reason you have withdrawn your love from it, it hurts, physically hurts, to withhold love from anyone or anything. Free to unite in love all our brothers and sisters, or free to suffer the fear of isolation. Too easy to do that with television and things like that. Some people do it with books, just hide behind books. We need to be out. Relationships is everything, really everything. Robert Frost's neighbor said, Fences make good neighbors, but that was a lie. Love doesn't like fences, doesn't like separation. Love needs to be open and free. The open space of love that you have created. Your being here today is your part of creating in this space for other people to come. And that will be wonderful as it happens, and it will. Your mission of love is important, more important really than anything else. Anything else. Let that sink in a little bit. So, let's get tuned up. Raise our vibrations of our lives, release any assumptions and beliefs of lack or fear, raise our consciousness level to lives of one of trust, because that's what love amounts to. When you love, you trust. When you love someone, you trust them. In the frequency of fear, you are stifled, and you forfeit that freedom that's been given to you. In a frequency of trust, you can accomplish absolutely anything. Began by saying that all things are in a state of vibration, including ourselves. Everything has a frequency and a tone. That's why music affects us so much. It has a frequency and a tone that affects us so deeply. And a tone produced by someone you love, often without their having said a word. You ever felt that? Someone walks into the room and you know it. You know something special. Love has a special frequency, as does fear. And we are free to control our frequency. Just like when Anton sits behind that machine, he's in control of that. We can control our own frequency as we go about our lives. In the days and weeks ahead, you may feel some vibrations, fearful ones. You need to tune your heart always to come back to love, come back to love. That was Marianne Williams' book, was it? Return to Love. Always return to love. Today, right now, let's tune ourselves to a frequency of love, frequency of trust, and the very spirit of trusting in the very spirit of God that is within us as us. And when things get tough, or you just have some questions about things, you're a little concerned, you're anxious, about the future, simply yell, what? Geronimo. Let me hear that. Practice that one time. Geronimo, yeah. And pull the ripcord on those false assumptions, and you will be gently lifted and gently placed under that sweet umbrella of God's love. No need to worry. It's all in here. God bless all here and all those with whom we pray.
Oh, thank you, Joe. A powerful message for us to move forward on, as this is the first day of the rest of our lives. Great thought to apply it to. Well, now is the time of our service that we do our offerings. So let us hold our offerings in our hands and let's bless it together. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Abundance. And let's also do our Unity Church in Reading consciousness statement. And let's say it together. Divine order is now manifesting in every phase of this ministry through its expanding prosperity, attendance, and by being a light on the path for others. And we are blessed. Thank you.
was a good for me, and I ought to have it. A good for me, and I ought
To have it is a good for me, and I ought to have it. A good for me, and I ought to have it is a good for me, and I ought to have it. A good for me, and I ought to have it is a good for me, and I ought to have it. A good for me, and I ought to have it. There is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is my life now. There is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is my life now. There's a good for me, and I ought to have it. A good for me, and I ought to have it. There's a good for me, and I ought to have it. A good for me, and I ought to have it. There's a good for me, and I ought to have it. A good for me, and I ought to have it. There's a good for me, and I ought to have it. A good for me, and I ought to have it.
I do. And I'm going to get this all set up for you. So come on over.
I hate to be a problem. Not so much. We take these offerings that you have given, and we dedicate them to God's work through this ministry, Unity of Reading, and throughout the Unity movement. We see it going out and touching other people by keeping this facility open and ready for people to come, ready for you all to come. We are greatly blessed, and this money goes out in those very wonderful places. We say thank you, God. Amen.
Have a few announcements for the activities for the week. First, want to acknowledge the volunteers. We got our ushers, we've got the musicians, Reverend Sloan, and Ken. Oh, and Shalba, yes, the wizard behind the curtain. Yes, thank you. I call it the hot seat. The church office will be open Tuesday through Thursday, 10 to 4, and Carolyn will be here. See Kathy or Ken for prayer after Sunday service. You can also call the church. Noon meditation is in the sanctuary Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Call in by phone, or if you want to call in by phone, you call in before noon, and you can access the meditation over the phone. Classes this week, Course in Miracles, Way of the Heart. For the time, check the bulletin board. Also check the bulletin board for this week's 12-step meeting time. And we'll have an announcement that our summer fundraiser netted the church over $500. So that's amazing. And we need to thank everybody who supported that. Let's see, just want to say that Carolyn's last day, as you know, is August 14th. And there's going to be a special activity after the service. And one of the activities is going to be, there's going to be a memory book that you can sign. And I'm not sure what else is going to happen, but please be here to support Carolyn's last day. And also I want to say, Carolyn and I have been working on a idea of a prayer circle. And I don't know if that's going to be the final name of it or whatever. And it's like, have any of you taken a pebble and thrown it into the water? Lori's class, we've talked about that a lot, like what pebbles do you want to throw into the world? And so when you throw that pebble into the water, what do you see? You see ripples. You see ripples. And that's how I envision the prayer circle, that we take our love, and this is a way to give service and be a conduit for God's love, is by praying. And of course, it's a unity way with affirmations. So it's a very positive activity. So anybody that's interested, please let me know. We're going to start next Sunday, and we'll start meeting at 9:30 before service. And we haven't quite formed the whole thing yet, but anybody that's interested to share their love throughout the community will be supporting our church, all the congregants in the church, people, situations in the prayer box, and our community and the world. So anybody would like to join in that and throw your pebble of love in and causing those ripples to go out into the world, please see me. Or show up tomorrow, not tomorrow, next Sunday at 9:30. Okay, we just look forward to seeing you next Sunday in the sanctuary or on the Facebook live stream, or view us on YouTube, as Carolyn will be returning to the pulpit next Sunday.
Thank you, Diana. And now is the time for our peace song. So I'll ask Lord and Anton to share that with us. And if you feel like rising, please do so, and let's sing.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
And now for our prayer of protection. The light of God surrounds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. And so it is. Amen. And now, are you going to sing us out?
Robbie Burns. Not Robbie Burns? Okay, you pick it. Hurry up.